Well, hi everybody. I shared with you a little while ago this new Daphne's diary. This is number 6 of 22, which has got a whole load of things. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that once I get them, I actually separate all the pages so that I can use them individually. So today, I'd like to show you something that I'm going to be doing with one of the aspects of Daphne's diary. She's included in this this issue, that's the right word I'm looking for, some lovely cardboard stencils that you can use to actually make cappuccino stencils like that. But having said that, you know, there's always a chance that these are going to get damp. So what I'd like to do today is to show you how to make these into a permanent washable stencil so that you can use them over and over again. And remember that these have all got little serrated edges so that we can just pop them out. They'll come away quite easily like that. You just tear them out slowly. Just use your fingers and your thumbs just to press them out. Find out where the little connectors are so that you can break them easily. So I'm going to carry on pressing them all out, and then the inside areas also pop out to reveal the stencils. So I'm going to show you now how to make these into a permanent washable stencil so that you can reuse them. Don't throw away your backgrounds. You could always use these with your die cuts to make lovely tags. You could use them punch outs. You could make them into little flowers, depending what you've got. And there are always two different designs on each side of the card, so you've got plenty to play with. So these are the two pages that I'm going to be working with. It's page number 88, 89, which is front and back, and that is the design. So I'll see you in a bit. So these are the two pages that we're going to be working with. There's these to make the stencils, and that's what your result will look like. Right, so I've popped out all the little stencil images, and you can see that I've got these, let me grab this one, I think it's going to be easier, these little discs that have an image in the middle. And don't throw away the bits that have come out from the center, like the hearts, because you could use that for ephemera, just as you could the daisies and the little stars. Maybe not so much these little ones, but certainly you would be able to. And these have also got different patterns on different sizes. So now that we're going to be cutting these out of a plastic to make them waterproof and reusable and washable, you would also be able to use these for ephemera, and you could quite easily decorate that, and I'll show you an idea with that at the end of it. So let's progress to the next step. So what I've done now is that I've actually taken these cutouts from the magazine, and I first of all started by tracing them in pencil, and then I've outlined them in a black marker. And my reason for outlining them in the black marker is so that when I come to put them onto the plastic that I'm going to be using, I will be able to see it. So nothing fancy, just a regular black marker. And don't worry if your hand is a little bit shaky. I suppose you could always try and find an object that is a similar round shape that you could trace around, which would make you a bit more confident. But you're really just wanting to do this dark outline so that you can see it through any plastic that you might have, bearing in mind that sometimes the plastic that you have available could be a color, and then it's much easier to see this. But also by using the black marker, if I were wanting to use one of these as a tag or something, I wouldn't actually have black felt tip markers showing around the edges there. So pencil is a good idea, and then you've got the option of using those as tags. So this doesn't take very long to do. And once you've done this, you're wanting to look for something maybe like the cover of a binder, or a piece of acetate, or just a piece of firm rigid plastic that can be washed again. You're not ever going to heat it, so you don't need to worry about that. The plastic I'm going to use is this, which is called ripple plastic. Well, that's what it's called in South Africa where I bought it. So it's actually smooth on one side and quite reflective, and the other side has this slight sort of texture, and I find it's actually really nice to work with. So I'm just going to take a really simple shape to begin with, because I want to show you how it's done. And I'm again going to take my black marker. I would normally use a pencil for this, but because I need to show you what I'm doing, you're not going to be able to see the pencil line so easily. So for my purposes and showing you today, I'm just going to trace over the outlines that are on the paper and do that quite easily with this black marker. And it's quite a quick project. So I mean, if you've got somebody who's a coffee lover and you would like to make a gift, what would be nice to have a lovely bag of roasted coffee beans, and you could quite easily cut out a couple of these stencils so that when they're making cappuccinos and things, that they would have a lovely decorative finish. Right, so there's my little design cut out onto drawn out onto the acetate, and now I've just got a pair of sharp pointed scissors, and I'm just going to simply start to cut around the edges of this. I'm just going to loosen it from the background to begin with, just because it is less bulky. So the first thing is just to trim around the outside edges. And as I said, this is fairly easy. If you can cut with a pair of scissors, this is going to take you no time at all. If you are a perfectionist, you could use a craft knife or an X-Acto knife to do this. And if it's not 100% smooth, don't panic about it. You could always just neaten it up once you've cut around the edges. Okay, then to be able to cut this insert out, I'm now going to take my craft knife. Oopsie, I need the piece of paper, don't I? Otherwise you're really not going to see what I'm doing. So I'm just, for your purposes, putting it on a piece of white so you can see it, but generally speaking you wouldn't need to. So I'm going to make an incision, got a cutting mat underneath. I'm going to make an incision into the plastic, and all I'm really needing to do is to be able to get the point of my scissors in there, because the actual plastic is fairly easy to cut with a pair of scissors. So I'm going to do this carefully now, making small little incisions as I'm going, and gently holding the scissors in position and moving the actual template. Now to turn a corner, I'm going to flip this over, put my scissors in from the opposite side, and just come in and work that way. I'm right-handed, so this makes life easy for me. Obviously if you're left-handed, do the opposite of what I'm doing now. So you'll see in no time at all I have this really nice little template. So bear in mind that you won't have black lines on yours if you've drawn it in pencil. And if you do draw in pencil on your template, you're going to see your lines quite easily. But as I said, it was just going to be for the purposes of a camera. So I don't know if you can see, can you see the pencil line? That's why I didn't do it. But when you're working at home, you will be able to see that line and cut it out. And you'll also be able to erase it. So if you were making this as a gift for somebody, you wouldn't have these black lines around it. That's a really easy thing to be able to do there. Now, let's see how this works. So I'm just going to take another piece of white paper. And because I have moved and decluttered and really have very little craft materials, forgive me, I'm not doing this on a cappuccino. I just don't have the equipment to make that at the moment, so I'm just doing it on a piece of paper with a stamp pad, but I just want to show you that your little template that you've got as a stencil will work. So I'm just using one of these Distress Oxide inks, and just going to stencil in here, dragging in from the edges. And obviously you're going to be dusting with cocoa powder or maybe some finely ground coffee, and your design will look completely different to this. But this is what I have at hand, so you just have to bear with me because I don't have equipment to make cappuccinos. So there we go. You have a really nice little template. It's got quite a nice edge, and you'll have a different texture to that because it will be coffee. The little bit of residue that's left on here is easily washed off under the tap, and you have a lovely design that you could actually use over and over again for coffee. But as I said, it would make a lovely gift as well. You've got Christmas coming up, so start thinking about those gifts, and this is a nice way to package something for a friend. I hope this has helped you and that you'll have loads of fun making all sorts of different designs.